everybody? Welcome to the first ever episode of the Talk to Talk podcast. Man, I'm super stoked. I'm going to be kicking off the first episode with the man, the myth, the legend, one of the realest ones in the community, Tomas.
Yes,
Welcome,
sir.
brother. So,
Appreciate you having me.
yeah, dude, for sure, man. It's on a limb too. I just kind of hit you up though. I was like, man, in essentially like the way I wanted the podcast name to go was just people who have walked the walk in a sense. That's kind of where I got the name from. Who's kind of seen things and been through things in the community and just through life and whatever life lessons or gaming lessons you can give too. So that's why I was like, man, I got to hit this guy up and get some good thoughts and feedback from him too. So just start off, but kind of just introducing yourself, just kind of telling where you're from, where you grew up and stuff like that, and we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'm Thomas Gray, Tgreyyy, Daddy Goose. I have a lot of names, I guess, that kind of grew since I joined the community back in 2016, I would say. It was like the end of 2016. That's kind of when I started Zero Chill. I was born in Fredericksburg, Virginia. It's kind of a mouthful to say. I was kind of bouncing around that kind of mid-Atlantic area, Tennessee, Kentucky, Virginia. And then ended up moving to Maine with the rest of my family, I guess, when I was like 10-ish. Haven't really moved since. I've been kind of up here, and then the whole gaming community kind of got me traveling quite a bit. So I'm up here mainly, but I kind of travel quite a bit. So that's kind of where I began and where I'm at now. So
Fredericksburg, what main like part of like Pennsylvania, right? You said.
That's Virginia, actually.
Sorry, Virginia. Yeah. So what main part is that around? Like what big city?
Honestly, it's not really close to any big city. It's kind of bordering, I guess Maryland, you could say. It's pretty close to Maryland, but all of Virginia is within driving distance to most places. So there's just a lot of traffic coming up from like Norfolk and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
you moved around a little bit though. I know we'll get into this in a second. You with the army, was that because of the army why you moved around, or you just moved around just kind of with family and stuff?
Well, that's funny because like now I'm in the Army Reserves or whatever. Back in the day, my mom was married to my stepfather at the time, who was in the Army as well.
Gotcha.
So he was moving between like Fort Bragg and Fort can't think of the one in Kentucky. Fort whatever it is. Anyways, not important. That's why I was bouncing around in that kind of mid-Atlantic region. So we kind of stayed in one area for 2 years at a time and then moved somewhere else, and I had to kind of start over at a new elementary school, and that's kind of what broke me out of my shell. I was never really a social guy. I kind of kept to myself, and it was kind of hard to adjust to the new lifestyles and new friends at these new schools. So
right.
I think that actually benefited me in the long run.
Oh, for sure, man. Because so you kind of in a sense you're like an introvert in a sense.
Yeah, I think back, like, naturally I am, but having gone through what I have gone through, doing that and moving schools every couple of years, that broke me out of my shell, like,
right,
against my will, and now I look back and I'm grateful for it. So
Oh, 100%, man. I think that, when you move to so many different cities, you're kind of forced in a sense to make to make friends and, get out of your shell in a sense to where you can talk to more people, meet more people, and you have to kind of go out and do more things to make more friends. So in your standpoint of view, like 100%, you'll grow from that. Like John, just what you said too, and you'll grow out of your shell too. I think,
absolutely.
Yeah, for me growing up, I was kind of like I was always like, I had friends, I guess, growing up. I never really moved around too much. And I wouldn't say I was always the most outgoing person, but I was always like a super nerdy person in a sense. So I always wanted to play video games. Like that was one of my things I love to do. And like, I grew up playing and we'll jump into this probably later too, but I grew up kind of playing some of those like odd games, like well, not really odd, but like Mario. And then I used to play a game with my dad on PC. It was called Lineage, if you ever heard of that. But Lineage was a huge game back in the day, and we grind that together, which is pretty cool. And that's kind of where I started. And then RuneScape was obviously a huge part of my life too. So yeah, I think
RuneScape was a good one.
Yeah, dude, that was a classic one for sure. So jumping into like, how'd you come up with your name? So Tgreyyy obviously is Thomas, and Gray is your last name, right? That's kind of where you came up with that.
Yeah.
And so, then, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah. So Tgreyyy kind of came naturally. I had been through a couple aliases before that. Lars the Lemur was probably my first one.
What's it called?
Lars the Lemur. Just straight up, no spaces. Lars the Lemur.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, no, I don't know why. I think I was just naturally drunk as usual. Came up like I love lemurs. I think they're kind of unique animals. They look really cool with their ringtails and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Lars kind of just flowed, and it was like unnatural. Like, and you would not call someone Lars naturally. It's a unique name, so I kind of just went with that. It didn't stick to me. I just didn't feel natural after a while. So I decided to switch it up, and that's where I came with just like Tgreyyy. I wanted to brand myself a little bit more, like, and
Right.
more personal to me.
That makes sense.
Uh, the three Y's is just simply because Twitter.
Yeah.
You know, Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter
Yeah.
didn't have the one Y. Someone took it. They have been inactive for like, I don't know, 8 years
And
now.
you won't get
I've
it
been
back.
fighting for it.
You
I'll
won't get
never
it back
get it.
for, yeah, unless you're verified. That's just the factual side of it.
Yeah, I'll never get it. So I just slapped a few Y's on there.
Bro, so my first ever gamer tag, and this is super embarrassing that I think about it because I was talking with one of my buddies the other day, was I got Xbox 360. First game I ever got was Halo 3. Right,
Yeah.
and that's where I started grinding from there. And I've played a lot of PS2. I grew up playing PlayStation. Now I have a PS. Don't judge me on that. I know you got Xbox too.
No judgment here.
Yeah, well, I traded my Xbox in, and well,
Yeah.
I guess my friend will find out that now. But anyways, so it was Pwnage Beast, right when the
Mhm.
word was like, Pwn was a big thing. So like that
Yeah.
was essentially that was kind of where I started from, and then I transitioned into a bunch of different names. It was like FTX shots, and then like I don't know, dude, I had a bunch of weird shit to be honest. And I made like random like just random names, honestly, just to have different accounts to get those free months of Xbox Live and stuff, and
Yeah.
that transitioned from there. I think one of them was like Rogue, and I spelt Rogue wrong. I was a kid, I spelt Rouge, so I was like Ruge. I was, gotta look back, I
Yeah.
felt like an idiot. But anyways,
Yeah.
so just you as and so Tgreyyy, that's your name. So you've been going with that for a while. So Daddy Goose,
Mhm.
like, how'd you come up with that? Like, how'd that kind of come into effect? And
Yeah, no, that's a funny one. Everyone, I don't know. I think I just like on Twitter because naturally no one knows like what that comes from, and they're not gonna know that I love Grey Goose unless I say something about it.
right, right,
So
right.
obviously Grey Goose is a big part of it. I love Grey Goose. I think it's the only vodka that I'll drink. I don't
Really
condone
good.
underage drinking or anything. Like,
No, 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 never. But it's really good vodka
no,
though.
it is. It is. It's the most smooth that I've ever had, and so like I just kind of fell in love with it. And I know it's like premium pricing, so I think it's like just good that I spend the extra money on something that I love, and I think it
Right.
it separates me from like the next guy who just goes in and buys like whatever alcohol he needs or whatever vodka he wants. And I just
100%.
think it just puts me above the rest. And it's not to say that I'm better than anyone. It just makes me personally feel a little bit better.
Right, bro. I
Um,
grew up in like drinking that cheap ass vodka,
oh,
like
so did
Taka
I.
vodka and stuff.
Yeah,
All the Dobra, if I'm sure you know what that is too. Like all the
yeah.
cheap crap, man. Like back in high school, I was like, fuck yeah, like
Oh yeah.
that's the stuff you gotta drink. It's like $8 a fifth, man. Like, and like again, I
Yes.
don't condone underage drinking, but obviously we do wild shit in high school, right? So
Oh yeah.
yeah, and then that's where it kind of just went from there. But that's all, dude. You ever see that? They actually came out with and I'm sure you have. It's a Grey Goose vodka kit that had the little goose stirrers in it, like the little mixers.
Huh. No, I haven't seen that.
You Google it. You'll want to buy the whole kit probably. Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty fresh. Yeah. So jumping into, I like to ask personal questions about you, and then like we'll jump into some gaming things later. But like just kind of like for you, like what motivates you, what drives you as a person, like to wake up every day, go to your job, and come home, do the gaming thing, and just kind of what motivates you and drives you.
Yeah, I think gaming plays a huge role in just me getting out of bed in the morning. I know it's not a full-time job for me. I do go to work every day, Monday through Friday,
All right.
like 7 to 3. Like it is an 8-hour day, 40-hour week. So I am grinding out at work, and I do have to set my gaming aside during those hours. Eventually, I would like to put gaming first and have that be my only source of income, but I know that's a tough task and a tough feat to
Right.
get. Um, but I think gaming is motivation for me. Like I go to work and I have fun and I enjoy it, but I also, in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, once work's done, I get to go home and play video games with all these people that I've met, and like hopefully do a couple more things each night, a few hours a night that
Right.
could progress me and my org a little bit further to the
100%, man.
point to the point where I don't have to go into work anymore. So
Yeah, I think that gaming is almost like an escape for me too, man. Like, I go to
yeah,
work and I talk to people all day. Like, that's just my job. It's what I do. It's been doing it for years now. But, I think that I love how, like, gaming is so normalized now to where, like,
absolutely.
it's okay to play games. Like, back in the
Yeah,
day, like, it's cool to play games. Like, that was, nice to go home, play COD, play
yeah,
Mario, whatever it is. But, like, now it's, like, such a, like, oh, you play video games? Like, oh, dude, hell yeah, what games you play? Like, and that gets into, like,
exactly.
a further, conversation. And I think I love that the most too because like, and coming from me too, like I feel like allows you to be normal because you don't have to feel like you're being judged by something that you love to do, right? And then
Right.
like, and I remember talking to people at work and like, they're saying like something weird about video games, and like I just like to not put people on blast, but like just check them in the moment. And I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
but like, there was this guy who played Fortnite and made $3 million more than you made so far, and you're like 40, right? So not checking
Exactly.
you, but like letting you know, like, hey, like there's a lot of
Yeah.
money in this.
Yeah.
But I think I like that it's normalized too now. So like in taking it back a
Absolutely.
little bit too, like what was the first like game that you started with? Like first console, first game, like that kind of got you into the whole like gaming niche.
Yeah, so like I used to dabble with like those very old consoles, like not super far back because like my mom was born in the 70s and my dad, I think 70s as well. Don't call me out on that. I don't know when my dad exactly was born. I think it was the 70s as well.
Same.
But
I don't know.
they had all their Ataris and all these like Sega Genesis and stuff. I didn't start with that. Like I straight up started with like a PlayStation 1, N64 I dabbled in. I never owned one, but I used to just play like all the just simple Mario stuff that used to come out for that,
Right.
Smash Bros, all that. But like my first personal console that I ever owned was a PlayStation 1, and that's where I kind of fell in love. And going back to when I was living in like Kentucky and all those places with my ex stepdad at the time, who was in the military, he was like very structured and like very strict. So I used to have to
Right.
ask him. I used to have to ask him to play all this stuff. And I was like, nervous. You don't want to go up to someone and ask, "Hey, can I go play on my like PlayStation or my Xbox?" Like it's
Right.
just a
Right.
weird feeling. But like as long as you have your chores done and stuff, he was fine with it. So like that kind of drove me, and I think that's where I get my OCD from now. It's like I was very structured at the time, so now everything that's not how it's supposed to be bothers me. But
Right.
that's what drove me. Like, okay, if I clean this, I can go play. So I
Heck
did,
yeah, dude. What
and
kid
and
wouldn't
that
do that?
exactly, and that's what got me hooked. I just started doing that, and that was my motivation every day. You don't have a job as at that age. You don't go to
Right. Right. Right.
you go to school, but after that, like, what do you do? Nothing.
You hang out
So
with your friends or play games. So like,
exactly.
would you say that like being from a military background but also being in the army, like do you feel like that kind of structuralized your life a lot more? Like do you feel like that like
Mm,
made you do things like in a chronological order? Like I feel like me, I don't know, I've never been in it, so I can't say, but like I've
right.
had a lot of family that were, and like I feel like they do certain things to a T, and that's how they've always been.
Yeah, I think what growing up, I didn't really realize that. I was just kind of going with the flow. You don't know what your next move is going to be. Having moved around a lot, you're like, oh great, am I moving tomorrow or am I moving next week or next month?
Yeah.
You don't really know. Like at that age, your mom can tell you, or your stepdad or your dad can tell you, but you don't know for sure. So I was just kind of taking it day by day then, and enjoying the gaming, which kind of distracted me. Like I didn't want to move schools. I didn't want to go meet new people. I just wanted to stay put.
All right, for sure. And so tying it back to, when you first got into gaming and going on fourth, like when did you I know personally for me, and we can get into that in a second, but this is more about,
Yeah.
you and stuff like that, but like when did you start noticing that like gaming was like a now it's super normal like we talked about, but like when did you notice that like it was super normal and that like you were like more gravitated towards it, like when you started seeing like YouTube content go up and like, man, like that's what I want to do, like how can I get into, like when did those like those thoughts pop up for you, like when did you see that?
Yeah, it wasn't actually until recently that I noticed that. Probably late high school, early college. I was always big into video games, and I knew back then when I was in middle school and high school, people thought of it as nerdy, and they didn't want to associate with kids that were like techie and nerdy and stuff like that. Now it's completely flipped the script. I think gaming's up there with like if you're in high school, if you're a gamer, you're kind of on the same playing field as all like jocks and stuff. So
Right.
it was probably like late high school. I kind of kept it bottled up. I wasn't in the competitive scene in high school at all. I was just kind of just grinding on my own, just playing video games. No streaming, no orgs, no Twitter, none of that. So that's where I just kind of found my love for just straight up gaming.
Right. Right.
And then college is when I kind of had all this free time. I was like, well, what if I just like you know built something from this? Like I'm in business school. Why not build a business surrounded by this? And I knew that esports was growing at the time, so that was the time to start doing it,
Right.
and that's how that happened.
That's pretty cool though, man. And then, well,
Yeah.
I was kind of like focused on too. The camera was like freezing on my side. I don't know if it's freezing on your side or not, but
No, I
indeed,
think it's fine.
yeah, on my side it's like super frozen. I don't know if that's like Oh, is it good now? Maybe still kind of frozen too. Uh, it's like wanting to work, not wanting to work. It's like super weird. So sorry for that. For
That's
people who
fine.
are watching it and listening. Um, yeah, that's it's super normalized now too. That's pretty cool. I think that for me, when I noticed that, like, man, like that's like, I want to make videos or I want to do, this and that. Like when I think it was back when in Modern Warfare 2 days, right? So
Mhm.
it was back in that time where you start seeing like Optic blow up and like Phase, and you start seeing like what's another like big org that was back in that time too. They were like doing like trick shotting videos. They were doing like all the it was just funny commentaries, and I was like, man, like that's so cool. I want to do that. And I remember
Yeah.
that for me, and my parents weren't like really yeah, dude, that's so cool, man. Like, and I didn't want to bring that up to them, right? I guess me
Yeah.
as a kid, I was like, nah, maybe not. I remember for Christmas, and you probably remember these too. I got my grandmother, who was my step grandma, and she treated us like grandkids. She's not with us anymore, so rest in peace to her. Super sorry,
Mhm.
love her to death, and super thankful for her, and she played a big role in my life. But she bought me, and I asked for it, and she gave us a limit, like, hey, here's your limit, that's what you can get, and we'll get it for you, right? And I got a
Mhm.
Dazzle, an HT Dazzle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and like, bro, I swear, me and my friend made the shittiest freaking videos in the world, bro. Like MWT videos, and
Yeah.
I
Yep.
still have them saved too. Well, we have one of them's uploaded. I won't put the link to it because it's pretty bad, but you don't. Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. But funny times. But like, I literally, dude, I think about this all the time. Like, I was driving in and I have all these thoughts in my mind about this podcast and just what we're gonna talk about, what we're gonna say. But like, I'm like, man, and I'm listening to like Hex's podcast, and I'm like, dude, like I could have like done those things, if I had the little bit of backing, or if I put a little bit more of time or effort into it, like I could have had those things too. And shout out to them for doing it and like making it happen. But it's crazy because I had like somewhat of the equipment, but not, and like I had the want to do it, but I just didn't drive myself to do it in a sense. And like I feel like I look back, I'm like, damn, like I could have done like X, Y, and Z so much better, and like that could have took it to a whole different level, right? And
Yeah.
like it's just crazy to see like how like much it transitioned now too. This is nuts,
Well,
man.
definitely. That Dazzle was everyone's favorite. It was
Yeah.
such a weird, and everyone wanted it, and it just looked weird.
Yep. Yeah.
What started it all. So like it pioneered the way for streaming and video recording.
100%. I think so too, man. I think that it was played a big part in everyone's like little like I'm gonna get into gaming type of thing, or I'm gonna make videos or whatever it is. And then yeah, sort of having like the
Motivation.
yeah the Hapog is the HP what is it called the HPVR Hapog or whatever. It was like a game capture device. That was like if you had more money or whatever, not like more money, but if you can afford it, you get that. That's like the thing that you needed, type of thing. But so cool with the gaming stuff. Like, did you ever like try to compete? Like, thought about like, man, I want to go compete for a team, or like try to get into like some sort of like, not even like an org, but just into some teams where I can go and like try to make some money off this. Like, was that ever like a thought for you?
I wasn't super priority list, I guess you could say.
Right.
Three is where I truly fell in love with like actually competing because I felt like I was playing a video game than when I was playing that game.
But what game was
Like
that? Dang, the audio's like cutting out now. Dang, this is like I don't know if it's like me, if it's like my like capturing thing or not. Sorry for everyone who is listening. We're having some technical difficulties here, but we'll try to figure it out here.
can you hear me?
Yeah, you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
All
So
right, keep going. What was your last question? We'll just start from there, I guess.
I think we talked about competing a little bit, and you said not it wasn't really like a big thing.
Yeah.
So
So
what?
just like, go ahead.
Sorry. So where did you start as far as organizations? You say you started with Zero Chill, right? So kind of walk me through your timeline on there, where'd you start it? How'd you come up with the name and all that stuff too?
Yeah, so Zero Chill Gaming was my first work. I started that at the end of 2016. I did everything myself as far as like the graphics and like the logo, coming up with the logo and stuff. It was pretty embarrassing. I like used like a text logo at first. Used like a logo generator and everything. It was like horrible. It looked like like someone who just graduated like middle school had come up with this and just slapped it on.
Got to
So
make it
that's what I
somehow.
did. Exactly. And I was like, you know what, this just doesn't look right. How do I do this? Like I started like doing my research and looking at all these bigger orgs. And I was like looking and wondering what's gonna separate me from these other startup orgs.
Right.
And that's when I realized I'm gonna have to hire a designer to do this kind of stuff. like get it professionally made. I'm gonna have to spend a little money to get a professional logo done. And so I did. The name Zero Chill Gaming was essentially just me being me. uh,
Yeah.
I wanted it to be zero chill. Like if you're in the org, like you have zero chill, you're just like an absolute savage and kind of rude to
Yeah.
people in a sense that it's funny, not like demeaning to them,
Right, right,
but
right.
just like making fun of over like simple stuff like, oh, this guy's doing this when he should be doing this.
Yeah.
So that's where that came from.
That's
Um,
pretty cool though. I like that you kind of just say like scare like this is what I'm gonna base it off of. You kind of like had a vision for it. It's pretty neat too.
yeah, I just didn't see any orgs doing the same thing that I was thinking. And so that's what I wanted to do. And naturally, like in today's world, that's not going to work very well because so many people are sensitive now.
Oh yeah, I don't want to. That's a whole
Yeah,
different podcast episode. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah, we'll save that
exactly.
one for
So,
another day.
so that's where I kind of was like, all right, well, it's just a name now. We're not going to actually act on this zero chill stuff. Um, so we just kept the logo, kept the colors, and just started acting a little bit more like respectable and nice to people. So.
What made you want to like get into like owning an organization?
Okay, so this is where it gets funny. I was competing in like Halo and COD and stuff, and I just got so tired of the whole. And you see it nowadays in most, I guess the competition and all that, where people are getting like dropped constantly,
Right.
and you see these free agent tweets every like 20 minutes. They're in like roster mania or whatever, and
Yeah.
I was part of that, and I was getting sick of it. I was like, okay, I'm playing my ass off. How am I like getting dropped from these orgs and how am I getting replaced? So I was like, you know what? What if I just start my org and build my own team? And I was at the time I was like, well, what if I start my org and play? Kind of like if you look at General on E6, he was doing the same thing at first. So now he's
Oh
got like
wow. So
he
he owned the org and played on it.
didn't necessarily own it, but he was kind of running it. And if you noticed, he has never been dropped from the org whenever
Right.
rosters were
Yeah.
changing.
That's so
So
true. He's still on there until this day.
exactly, and his mother's a part of it now.
That's
And
awesome.
I don't know the extent of who else is on that management team, but you start to see that and you're like, well, that's a genius idea. Like, how can I be kicked from an org that I'm running? So that's what I did.
Right. Right.
That's
That's
what I was doing. So
That's awesome. I mean, I like that you kind of, in a sense, wanted to, one, start your own thing, but like, two, in a sense, you like wanted to make like an environment where, like, man, like, if I see something pretty clever and you like, I don't want you to go anywhere. Like, let's figure it out and let's work it out and let's, grow together, whatever way, shape, or form. Like, that's kind of how I am as a person too. Like, I've always been, I've been a big family-oriented person, right? I always want to make people feel welcome, or feel at ease, or feel comfortable with whatever it is that's going on. Or I think that family, it's if you're doing, and we'll talk about this obviously later too, but like within
mhm.
like just small groups or organizations, whatever it is, I think family has to have a good tie into it, and they want to be a part of that same vision for whatever it is you have going on. I think that they want to like feel
Yeah,
like, okay, I'm comfortable here, I like the people here, like let me keep doing this thing and keep going from there.
it makes it a lot easier to have that family environment in an org for sure.
100%. It makes people feel more welcome and more comfortable too. Like kind of like what I just said too. So that's awesome. And segueing into so you were obviously the owner of the org. What did of Zero Chill? What how do you start finding people? Like when were you like, okay, like I need a little bit of help for this. I can't just do it myself. When did you kind of figure that out?
Yeah, it came honestly a lot of branding, like coming up with all these branding ideas and finding these people. It comes from having a cool idea and a cool logo and colors and all that. As simple as it sounds, you're not going to draw attention to yourself unless you're looking good.
Right.
I don't care what your name is. I don't care how big you are. It all matters about how cool everything else looks and how legit it sounds. Um, so that's what I did. I started reaching out after we had proper branding and started looking, and I started to find some real genuine people to bring on board, and it wasn't like a just instant pickup. I did my questions, I did my interviews,
100%.
and I made sure that they were going to be a right fit. Some of them worked out, some of them didn't, as with anything would. And a lot of them ended up being like, lifetime friends that I'm still working with today. So
Kyle.
Kyle's one of them.
Yeah. Kyle's a
M
great guy,
Pens
man.
is one of them. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Yeah, Kyle's a great guy, man. I remember we were in the flock chat one day, and you're talking about you don't want to see Kyle mad. He'll go full ham, and
He will.
I was like, shit, I don't want to see that either, bro.
Yeah. No,
No.
he's super nice, and if you
Oh,
see
dude,
him
yeah,
mad, like you did something wrong because it takes a lot.
yeah. He's a really super down to earth guy, like super chill. Like, always love conversing, and talking to him. He's a really good guy.
Hmm.
Um, and so got these people on, went on from there. So what did you see? What was some successes you seen from that, like going forth with zero chill, and like what were maybe some of the the hardships you kind of seen with that?
Yeah, so I didn't really know what I was doing at first. It was when I first got to send a team to like an event, that's when I really knew like, okay, this is possible. I can do this.
100%.
Um, a lot of it comes from just like having the money to fund that kind of stuff, and that's where a lot of orgs seem to fail is they kind of jump into it and not realize how much they need to actually do something like that. As simple as an open bracket team, it's not a cheap endeavor.
Oh,
You've got to
dude.
like you've got to fund most teams anyways. I've seen teams that don't do this, but to provide jerseys, it makes a huge difference in like the morale for the team. Hotels and stuff. I know some teams don't fund that either, but like I've always been one to make sure that my team at least has a hotel to stay at and jerseys. That's it. Like
Yeah.
at the bare minimum. So once I started doing that, I started to build a little bit more confidence. Like, okay, I can do this.
Right.
These teams may not be performing at peak. Like, I'm not going to do very well with these specific teams, but if I am willing to spend a little bit more, like, there's a lot more that I can do. So,
The stepping stone too, and I think
yeah.
that I commend you, to be honest, for taking like just like, I would say like a that's a high risk, maybe a low reward in a sense, but could
Hmm.
be high risk, high reward. Depending on how things play out. So like, how did you feel personally, like putting a lot of this money up on the line, and a lot of it's probably your money, right? If I'm not mistaken. You know,
Yeah, especially when I was running zero chill, everything was straight up out of pocket. I had no real sponsors other than the typical 5% discount code or whatever. Uh,
yeah,
so like
100%.
that's like bragging, right? So like, oh, I'm sponsored by blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But are you really sponsored when all you're getting is like a
Usually it's
little
an
bit of a
affiliate thing,
discount?
if we're being honest. It's like a
Yeah, it's
anyone can
it's
get on.
it was more for the sponsor themselves. It was a growth thing for them.
Right.
So once I started to realize that, that's for later discussion. Um, but yeah, once I started sending them and they started performing, that's when I really started to realize like this is feasible. It is a little bit of a stretch, but everything was coming out of pocket.
Yeah.
So um, I knew I wasn't gonna really make anything. My sole purpose was to build the brand.
Hmm.
So hopefully going to these events and doing somewhat well, they'd be like, oh, Zero Chill Gaming, they just placed blah blah blah. And then the next event, oh, Zero Chill Gaming, yeah, they did this well at
Right.
Fort Worth or Anaheim or whatever. So that was my main goal,
That's
just to
awesome.
build the brand.
And it was crazy. Now, like I know, obviously, we'll talk about that later on too. But like now, I think I've seen them in like Ring of Elysium and stuff like that. They have like a team under
Hmm.
them, and a couple other things they had going on too. Maybe was it a Halo team too, if I'm not mistaken. I maybe saw that on Twitter. Could be wrong.
Yeah, they've had a few teams recently. Ring of Elysium, I think they just won like $5,000 on
Oh
a
wow,
yeah, a couple of weekends ago for like I think it was third or second place. I can't remember.
was it the Amazon
Um,
Cup or no?
it might have been actually. I think it
Yeah,
was.
that's was it the one they had Shroud playing in, and everyone was super pissed at letting all these people come and play. Yeah, that's that
Yeah.
same cup, same cup. Yep, I used to play Ring of Elysium a lot too. Not, I mean, I
Mhm.
was pretty good at the game, nowhere near a pro, but like I can kind of see their standpoint as like, man, like what the hell? Like I'm putting in X amount of hours per week, and like you're just gonna let some person and like not just any
Right.
person. Obviously, it's Shroud. He's gonna bring a big name to it. But at
Oh,
the
for
same
sure.
time, like a lot of people will probably not play it too. They're gonna watch it because he's playing it, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure.
So probably, and obviously they paid him. Let's be honest. They probably, yeah,
I'm sure they did.
yeah. So if we're being honest, they paid him to do that. And I don't correct me if I'm wrong. If Shroud ever watched this for some way, shape, or form, probably won't. But correct me if I'm wrong. But that's just what I've always thought of. But so let's talk about, and this is gonna get so you know probably where I'm going with this. So you kind of from Zero Chill. I don't know if this was before or after, but you were a part of Regal for a while, right?
Yep, for sure.
So was that before Zero Chill or after?
That was kind of simultaneous. More towards the later end of Zero Chill.
Gotcha.
Uh, so that how that started. I didn't send a team to MLG Orlando. It was called Champs at the time.
Wow.
2017. Like, I'm not gonna send a team there. They're gonna want crazy money.
Oh my
Um,
God, yeah, it's Orlando too. It's way more expensive.
exactly. It was just crazy. So I just wanted to go experience what a COD Champs would be like in the event that I ever did send a team. Ended up staying with Jordan Daly and a couple other guys like Slush, Chancho Chaos. I forget what his ad is now, but a couple of my actual friends, and we hung out with like Jordan Daly. I was like, oh shoot, he's verified. Like, absolutely, like, why not? That'd be good
Let's touch
networking.
on that a little bit if you don't mind too.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So what's I don't understand, and I don't really care if I get a lot of hate on it. It's just kind of weird. But like, what's up with the follow thing? You know, like what's the
Yeah, no, he was so when I met him at Orlando, like he didn't seem like that kind of guy to care so much about the following. And like I was like, okay, so this guy's legit. Like,
right, right?
he's got a lot of followers, he's in the community, he knows. And that may be true at the time. As I got to know him, he like it was straight up all about following on Twitter. I was like kind of like starting to lose my mind. I was like, what is this all about? Like, why? Who
Yeah.
cares?
What are we doing with this? Where's it like? Where are we going with this? Right, in a sense.
Yeah, I'd be sitting in Discord calls with him at like, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, like laying in bed. He'd be like, dude, watch me tweet this out and watch how many likes I get in 1 minute. I was like, okay. And so that's what happened. I was like, yeah, man,
Yeah.
you got
To
the clout for sure.
I mean,
So I
but
don't know.
in a way, cool, but not cool in a sense because of the follow thing,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
But in a sense, it's kind of like, and I don't know what's the correct term to use here, but like in a sense nowadays, like it's almost demoralizing, and because a lot of it's based off of that. It's like, dude, like I just got like 400 likes on this picture. It's like, cool, man. How much money you
Yeah.
made off that picture, though, right? You know, like,
Exactly.
and I think that yeah, it's really cool, and that can take you to another step. But I feel like in this world did everything go based off of like, dude, I just got like 200 followers, I just got like 400 likes on this picture. Like, it's kind of like sad to say, man. There's no more like real like, and not saying no more, and this is still a part of life, but there's no more like connection, like connecting. It's like, hey bro, you got like 5,000 followers, I got two, I got 4,000, like let's
Mhm.
connect. And it's all based off of following. It's kind of weird and sucks to
Right.
say, but I don't
No,
know.
definitely.
It's a touchy subject for sure, but I don't know.
That's kind of where I faulted myself too, is like I kind of fell for it. I was like, hey, this guy has a lot of followers. What could go wrong staying with him at Champs? Like, this could be a good networking thing.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
my naive self thought, okay, if I go stay with him, I can network, we could become friends, and this could lead to more business opportunities,
100%.
which it ended up it did. When I got back, that's when I was like asleep. I woke up the next morning, like a few days later after I got back from Champs, and he had DM'd me like, "Are you crying yet?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Am I crying? What do you mean? Like, what?" I woke
Yeah.
up like after I had just slept. Why would I be crying?
Right, right.
And he's like, "To come work with me." I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was so tired. I had to go to work. I was
Yeah.
just so flabbergasted. I didn't know what he was talking about. And then he's like, "Yeah, I want you to help me run Regal." I was like, "Okay, well, what do I do?" And so that's kind of how I got started. Um, which kind of answers your question from prior, like how did Regal start after Zero Chill and all that?
Yeah,
It
for
was
sure.
after Champs, when I was no part of that and I was just an owner of Zero Chill. And they said that they liked how I was running Zero Chill. They noticed it. I don't know if that was bullshit or not, but I don't know if it was just the character thing, like they liked who I was, or if they truly did like how I was running Zero Chill.
Sometimes, and this could be if ands or buts, like a wishy-washy subject, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes though, like they might see like, man, this guy's super smart the way he handles things, and let's kind of like take him in on our side type of thing, to where like it'll be like less we gotta do, we can put more in him. He's really good doing what he's
Exactly.
doing, type of thing. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but sometimes like that can be the case. Like, man, this guy's smart. Like, we got to get him any way, shape, or form. And then when you get there, it's kind of like a lot of unspoken promises, like that never kind of came about, type of thing. Not saying it did.
Right.
I don't really know, but we'll probably jump into that here in a second too. But
Mhm.
I was a part of Regal, believe it or not, for a little bit. I don't know if you remember that or not, but I was there for a little bit, and
Yep.
I don't remember how or who got me in or what it was. All I know is I was a content creator. I was
Yep.
pumped at the time. I'm like, man, 100K followers, bro. Like, this is lit. Like, at the time you see, like, yeah, like, this is a big thing. And then, like, Bro, like there came like a lot of backlash. Like there was a lot of things going on, and I don't remember what it was from. I don't. I think I was just so focused on what I was doing and like just trying to do things for the team, and like I think there was a lot of backlash, and I seen like in one day like 20 members left, and I was like, what the hell, dude? I was like, what's going on? And then like I had like a lot of life shit. It's so weird. I have like a lot of things that just hit me, and like and it just fucking like, and you know how life is, man. It'll just rampage your
Yeah.
ass, and you're like, shit. All right, here we go. And like that's where I was like, all right, I just gotta quit, take time for myself, and do my own thing, like, and I always bounce back one way or another, or try to at least. But
Right.
so where did all like I know they had a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and a lot of like you've seen the tweets and just things going on. Like where did that come from? Like what started it? What happened? Or
Yeah, so eventually when I had gone to LA for the first time, I was like super pumped going to meet Andrew and Jordan. I stayed with Andrew for the first time.
he
Me and
seems like a
Andrew
cool
like
dude. I never
yeah.
yeah, I never like talked to him, met him or anything, but he seems like a really cool dude just via Twitter. I've seen from there. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, he is. He's a really cool dude. Me and him kind of just hit it off immediately. We were just like homies from the start. Jordan Daly was the reason me and him even had talked.
Hey, props to
Uh,
him though for that Regal house
yeah,
too. That's pretty nuts, man.
yeah, no, absolutely. So when I went to LA, I stayed with Andrew for the weekend. It was supposed to be for TwitchCon. We never ended up going to TwitchCon because we were just like vibing out, staying at his place.
Yeah.
Didn't really want to deal with the traffic going to. I think it was. I don't know where exactly it was. It was like an hour away with traffic from where
Is
in
TwitchCon
LA.
different in every year? Every year, is it always in LA? Because I think this
No,
year's in San Diego, right?
it's in San Diego, and last year was San Jose, so it's a little different, but it
Hmm.
seems to always be like West Coast. So, um, I'm excited for that. I'm going there in about a
Oh,
month.
oh yeah, I seen your name on Twitter. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'll be my first one. So we'll see how it goes. But going back to what your question was, Andrew had let me stay with him, and like we were just really good friends at the time. We still are. Um, and then that's when Jordan kind of asked me, and Andrew was, I think Andrew was like co-owning it with Jordan behind the scenes. Never was like a super official with it, I guess.
Hmm.
And that's when they asked me to help run it or whatever, and I was like officially own it with them, like
Right.
1/3 ownership. And I was like, absolutely, I'd love to. And then they gave me access to the Twitter and stuff, and I was like, holy
Oh
crap.
damn.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
that's
holy
a big step, man.
exactly. I was like, holy shit, dude, I'm running this 100,000 follower Twitter. Like, this is insane. And then like once we had announced it and it was blowing up and stuff, like every tweet was blowing up at the time. But like months later and stuff, I was like tweeting stuff out, and I was noticing like, dude, why are we getting like 40 likes on a
Like
post? Like
like it dropped a ton.
that's what I get. Exactly. That's what I get on like a good post is like 40 likes on my own
Yeah, yeah,
account.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
And I'm like, okay, so if I get 40 likes on a Twitter that has 100,000 followers, I'm like, dude, what? How does that even make sense?
Well, how much were you getting prior to that though?
Prior to what?
Like prior to like when you noticed the drop in numbers, like how much were you getting before that?
Oh, I mean, it wasn't always a consistent, like super high number, but like hype stuff, like me joining or like this new recruitment challenge or something, like would
Yeah,
always
yeah.
have numbers. But like a normal tweet on a normal day, like good morning, how's everyone doing? Or like just something to interact with people that would never get a lot of likes. And that's what set Jordan Daly off one day. I remember I was in a Walmart like auto care center or something
What the
because
heck?
I got like a nail in my tire, so I had to replace it like ASAP. So
Of
I just
course.
like I found the nearest Walmart that had a tire center, got that replaced. I was sitting in the waiting room, and Jordan went off on everyone. I don't know if you were still in New York at the time, but he had like
Oh, you know what, dude? I was.
right,
I was like a freaking paragraph of like a message, and I was like, what the
yeah,
hell? Yeah, I
exactly.
100% remember that. That's freaking nuts, man.
Yeah, he went off and said like I've seen like more active people at blah blah blah, and like he said he compared it to like a dog or something, and that blew up. That ended up being a big thing. But that was exactly back in the time when Classify was in New York. Like all these people that ended up
Oh
blowing up.
shit! Wait, Classify was in Regal?
Classify was in Regal during that time. I don't know if you were still in New York at the time,
I
but
don't know, man. I'm that really well. I didn't know who he was probably at the time compared to
right.
who he is now. I don't.
Yeah.
Was he like a big name back then at that time or no? Or
No,
ish?
he was a streamer. He had like a decent following at the time, but like wasn't nearly as well known as he is now.
Right.
Uh and then when Jordan like ended up kicking like 50, I don't know, it was probably like 40 people. Like you just see blah
Jeez.
blah blah left, blah 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 left, and then classifies the one that started it all. Like at the time, I was so pissed. I was like, dude, fuck this guy. I hate this guy. Classifies a prick.
Yeah.
But no, like he's actually a cool dude now. But at the time when he had tweeted that, it blew up. Like he's like, this fool Jordan Daly and Regal Reserves is shit org. But and I was like, I'm an owner. Like I gotta deal with this now. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a lot of shit, man.
Yeah. So his tweet blew up. I don't know if it was the clout beforehand or if it was specifically that tweet that started everything for him.
Right.
I don't know. But it was a funny tweet. Like
And then all the weird
you know,
like fucking like pictures he'd put of like dishes he made like on a plate. Like, yeah, that shit was crazy.
those definitely, yeah, those were funny.
Yeah,
Those
100%.
definitely got him clout too. But yeah, it was his tweet blew up, and then that's what like the downfall of like Regal started. And I was like, great, I have to build this shit by myself now because Jordan left. Jordan had joined like Soar midway through me owning Regal.
Who
And
owns Store, by the way? Sorry to cut you off. Is it Max
uh,
or
yeah, I think it's Max, and I think it's Crude has a part of it.
and to let him in?
I guess. I don't know.
Sorry,
Guess
not
so.
being a dick or anything, but like I guess
No, I
like
don't
some
know.
people would be like not. I don't really mean to say anything bad at all, but like at that
Mhm.
time I feel like if you see a lot of things coming about like from that perspective, from an org owner, you'd probably be more cautious, right? In a sense, ask more questions, see what's going on, and
Yeah, but it wasn't he had joined SOAR before all this shit happened.
oh, okay, gotcha.
But I'm just trying to like line it all up.
Hmm.
But all these thoughts are popping in
Yeah,
my
yeah,
head.
go for it.
So he had joined that, and that's when he kind of passed it off to me. After he passed everything off to me, he was still in the chat, still kind of monitoring what I was doing.
I saw that.
That's when that day he freaked out at, and I was like, dude, no, it's fine. Like, don't kick them. I'll handle it. And that's when he went off and kicked everyone. I was like, dude, you're part of SOAR now. You told me I'm running this, and you just did that.
Yeah,
And then it blew up. Regal's a piece of shit.
I remember
Jordan
that.
Daly's a piece of shit. And then I was like, great, I have to literally fix everything Jordan just did.
Yep.
So
That was a lot.
like,
That's like 40 different tweets with no telling what numbers and interactions coming or impersonations, whatever it's called. I don't know what the fuck it's called. Yeah,
impressions.
impressions. Yeah, I'm an idiot. Sorry, but but anyways, like coming. That's a lot of different tweets, man. It's a lot of shit you got to deal with. So props to you for handling it whatever way you did. But that's a lot of crap. And then didn't he go to? Was it Most Wanted or something? That page shut down, but
I think he had a hand in Most Wanted the whole time, like before I even knew him. That
that's
was
a
like
lot of
he started way back before I knew
yeah.
him. with
That's a
Most
lot
Wanted.
of different hands in different places, man. That's a
He did.
lot of things to deal with, in my opinion, personally. But like now, like if anyone says anything to me, just blocks them. So
Yeah, no, I'm still blocked by him because I like actually called him out on his shit.
I don't know. I
But
mean,
it's fine. Like I
happens.
don't know.
I mean, I guess
Yeah,
you go to bed the same every night, right?
I do. Like
Yeah,
I've learned to not. It's not going to do anything for me if I just
yeah.
call someone out. So I try not to anymore. But like, if there's one person in the in the community that deserves that kind of thing, it's him. Because like, he's just always been a snake to everyone. So I don't know. Maybe he's changed now. It's been a while since I've spoke to him, but
Well, your blocks, you really can't any other way, right?
I had no way of knowing.
That's crazy though, man. Well, God, that's a spiral of events too, man. Like everything.
Yeah.
So actually, I've been a part of, and I guess we can talk about this for a second. I've been a part of a few different decent name orgs. So like Regal was obviously one of them, and then I was a part of Lethal for a little while too.
Yep.
And actually, it's funny. I want to try to get the guy because there was a lot of falling out between two of the owners, and I won't like touch subjects on that, but if I can get the guy who I was with and that originally, from what I understand, kind of originated and started a lot of it on here. Do you know who Ed Hammer is? His name's Ed Hammer Savage. Maybe not. Really down to earth guy, super family oriented, super cool dude. And if I can get him on the podcast one day, that'd be super cool. I just got to reach out to him. We used to kind of connect a while back, but if I can get him on here to get his side of things, that'd be really cool too. But I was a part of Lethal for a little while, and then I joined. I was a part of a team called Illicit Gaming. I don't know if you've heard of them, but Illicit was owned by shoots. I forget his Amrit or something like that. I don't remember his name, but they had a decent size follow, like 14K, 16K, something like that. They ended up shutting down, and then when I got into Fortnite for a while too, I was actually a part of. I went from playing to have fun with some friends, meeting people, and then we joined Vanquish Gaming. If you heard of
Yep.
VQ, so I was part of VQ for a little bit, and then they essentially in quotations bought out our contract. It was only $0 because I was in the contract, but we didn't make any money from it, right? Because they took a percentage. It wasn't
Right.
80-20, by the way. Um, no, that's jokes aside, but that's another subject. But anyways, I joined Cyclone from there. If you ever heard of Cyclone, they're actually verified on Twitter. They have a really good and it's funny, and actually it's not funny. It's really cool that I've met so many different like great mind-oriented people from these organizations, like, and still like talk to this day. You know, like, well, hey, how's it going, man? How you been? What's life been for you? We'll talk through DMs and stuff, and it's just super cool, man. To like still
Mhm.
connect with those guys too, because we were together for a while. They were helping manage us. We played a lot of scrims in those scrim discords, and those were super popular when they first started coming
Yeah.
up in Fortnite and stuff. But then that kind of transitioned to another thing, and I was just like, maybe not competing as, because Fortnite got to a point where it's like it was just too much stuff, man. Like, too much crap going on. And that was back in like season 3ish, 4. So like
Right.
take all the shit they added now, and it's like quadrupled. Like, I can't play it no more. The mechs, man, take them
Yeah.
out.
As soon as the max dropped, I literally uninstalled the game.
Take them
I'm
out,
serious.
man. Take them out the fucking game, bro.
I've been begging.
Well, man, they do it just to piss you off and add more random shit. So Junk Rift, haha, in your face, man. They added that one too. So,
Yeah.
um, so I know we talked a lot about Regal. What were some of the biggest successes that you've seen from Regal? You know, we talked about kind of the fall of Regal, but what were some of the biggest successes for you personally, but for the org that you saw come your way? Like, what were some of those look like?
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely say like the name that it built for me. I don't think people would really know who I am having not been part of Regal. It would have at least made it a little bit harder for me to get my name out. Even if it, you know, they always say like any sort of like publicity is good publicity. So
Some
even
cases, some cases.
some cases, so even like me being part of that during that like downfall or whatever, like it was good for me because people knew I was actually trying to like turn things around.
Yeah, man.
So that
Busting your
definitely
ass.
helped. I think friendships are a huge thing too. I'm glad I met Andrew through that, and we're
Right.
still talking to this day. So like definitely, I think that's a success in my career because I just like it's always good to have someone to talk to when you don't have anyone else. So
Oh, dude,
uh,
100%, man.
and then as far as like esports goes, we were always sending teams to like the COD events and stuff, and we started doing really well at COD Anaheim last year when we had Nelson and Pemby, Profizi, and Mosh.
I think
That
I
was a really
remember that. I think I do remember that. I remember
yeah. We
seeing
made the
Nelson, and I was like, "Oh, damn, was all right."
yeah no we
Yeah.
had a they ended up making championship bracket with like we ended up losing first round of the championship bracket, but we were in the same bracket as like Optic and all of them, and so for me that was a huge accomplishment. 'Cause
Oh
never
yeah, dude.
never in my life did I think I'd see a team that I'm running in the same bracket as like Optic and stuff.
That's a
So
big accomplishment, though, man. You know, it's crazy that you said that because whenever I was a part of Cyclone, like they had the number one Brawlhalla player on their
right.
team. Like in Brawlhalla, I've never gotten to it, but it's like a Smash Brothers type of thing.
Yep.
Um, I never played it, but and they had a really, really great Gears team, and that Gears team was actually playing against Optic on main stage, and I was like, dude, like I'm a part of an org that's playing like on a main stage against Optic for Gears, like they got crushed. No offense to them, like Optic has a really insane Gears team, they're
Mhm.
number one
Oh
every
yeah,
time, but like it was just cool to see, like, man, like they're on main stage and playing, like that's freaking huge, like that's nuts.
absolutely.
I think it's
And that's
huge publicity.
definitely, and that was another huge thing for us as we had our Regal Gears team that were from Europe, our little Spaniards there. We love them. Love
Nice.
them. We know a fair share of Spanish, me and Andrew, so we were having fun talking to them and like actually trying to brush up on our Spanish. Uh, but they did really well. They were a top seed in the EU and started getting flights and stuff paid for
Yeah,
by MLG for these American events. So
that's
loved
awesome.
having them, and I think that was a very good thing for Regal as well.
I know that he just, speaking of Andrew, he picked up what's her name, Colby or something.
A streamer.
Yeah, I don't really know. I've just seen her in the community. I don't really know who she is, but yeah, I've seen her in the community. That's a pretty big pickup for him too, and especially with all the Regal House stuff going on, like that's going to be huge for him, like content, and if we start getting people in there. But where's that house actually based out of? Is it California?
I think it's actually Arizona because he had
Arizona.
just left California and moved to Arizona. So
Gotcha, gotcha. That's good. That's good for him, man. So then, obviously, after all the, Regal stuff, you kind of started the flock, right?
I did, yeah. That was about. I gave it a few months before I started doing anything crazy.
Yeah, I think I remember you tweet about that. I think you said something along the lines of I'm taking like a break to kind of reevaluate. If I remember right, to reevaluate some things, and like you might start something up in the future. If I remember right, I don't. It's a while back, but
Yep, that was pretty accurate. I think it was close to the end of like last summer when I like. There's something that happened in Regal, like just like a lot of like inactivity, and that's when I kind of blew up. I was like, we need stuff to be done. Nothing's happening. No
right.
one's listening to me. I don't know when I lost all this respect or just I don't know what it was. And I was like, so if no one like respects me enough to just do the simple things that I'm asking, then I'm just gonna step down. There's no point in me running an
Yeah.
org if no one respects me. So I left, and then I was like, you know what? Let's just take a little break. We'll start things from entirely from scratch, and we'll see where that goes.
Right. So then you started the flock. So kind of walk me through, that time there. So like, how'd you come up with the name? Where'd you feel like, man, like this is a great time for me to start, and kind of walk me through that timeline there too.
Yeah, so it was definitely during holiday season when I decided this is a good time to do it because that's when I have the most time off of work with like Thanksgiving off and like
Right.
Christmas, and that's when time I can just focus on like building a new brand. So I did that. The flock itself, the name came from I'm Daddy Goose or whatever.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. I had a feeling. Yeah,
yeah, everyone under me is just like it's the flock, dude. We're just a family. We're just a
for
flock
sure.
of geese. So that's where that came from. And the logo I had Drew K Media. I don't know if that still is that.
I
Really good
think
designer.
maybe. Oh, I love Drew, dude. Super cool, man. Super cool guy. I think he was obviously in Regal, right? Wasn't he? I'm pretty sure he was.
It was,
Yeah, and I met him in there, and then we just kind of became cool just through Twitter and DMs, and like he's a super super down to earth guy, and was like, he was one of the people, and I'm super humbled by like a lot of people when I announced I was gonna do the podcast. Everyone was like, "Yo, dude, like that's like that's dope. I want to see that. Like, when are you gonna release the first episode and like all this stuff?" And I was like, "Damn!" Like I was like, "Okay, like." People genuinely care to see this shit. I was like, all right, cool. Like, and that's why like I messaged you and I was like, bro, like we got to get this shit done. Like, this is to be a killer episode, like 100%. And then
absolutely.
yeah, but Drew was like totally on board, and then we talked about like some both marketing things that we could probably talk about futuristically. But yeah, again, great guy. Love talking to Drew. He's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. He's the one that came up with our logo. And I knew that was the guy I was going to go to for a logo because I knew he knew what he was doing.
Right.
I think he had the best potential to come up with something that's actually going to be meaningful. He's the one that came up with my own personal brand too, the little
Did he make the
Tgreyyy.
logo?
He made the
Yeah,
goose
that's
logo
sick.
too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. That's another
So
guy I
that.
want to bring him on the podcast too eventually too. I talked to him about that, and he was
Mm,
another kind of guy because he had some really good business opportunities that he started himself too. I want to learn about all that in the future too. So I'll probably bring him on futuristically too. But yeah,
yeah,
that's pretty cool
absolutely.
though, man. That's awesome that obviously was that paid work? Did you kind of like work out some kind of agreement and stuff, or
No, I make sure to always pay anyone that does anything for me.
I 100% feel that, man.
Yeah, he gives the homie discount, but I always like, what's the homie discount if I'm just gonna tip you, you know?
Right. Really, let me just pay full for it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you started the flock. What? So going into it, you had the name picked out. You had a plan. What was your vision for it? What did that vision look like? As far as like I want X, Y, and Z people. This is what I want to do and where to take it. Like where was that vision? What did that look like?
Yeah, we're still under that whole like my vision still isn't where we're at. Like I wanted to take this very slow and make the right moves, and that's kind of what we're still working on. Like I'm not jumping into it picking up 40 streamers and 40 YouTubers and picking up a bunch of different like teams. We're like probably the smallest org I've seen in a while, but I haven't had anyone leave or join in quite a while now. Um and
Well,
then
yeah.
yeah.
Sorry, but yeah, obviously I love you, but
No, yeah.
that,
But
but
other
I totally did it in a respectful way, though. Like I
you had other
obviously,
plans, yes,
yes,
exactly.
and then I had like again, like I had like, a lot of shit going on, like a lot of fucking things like hit me, and I was like, yeah, dude, like yeah, I didn't stream for like a week or something. Like I guess gotta take time to bounce back, and like that's when like I messaged Kyle because like I didn't want to come to you and you'd be like, oh fuck this guy, like I don't, you can see you later, dude. And then I talked to Kyle about it, and that's why me and Kyle got so close. And like he was just like, dude, like you gotta do whatever's right for you, like whatever it is, life terms, like He was
Yeah.
like, I respect whatever decision you make. Just let me know. And I was like, all right, for sure. And then we talked on in for a little bit, and that's when I kind of made a decision. Nothing against, I love every one of you guys in there, and I still talk to a lot of
Mm,
people from there, and I still support you guys, whatever way, shape, or form too. Like I feel like that's the respectful and the correct way to go about it.
absolutely.
Especially people who like tried to help you and build you and like help you make a vision for yourself and all that cool stuff too. So sorry to cut you
Mm.
off. I'll let you segue into your vision and kind of plan. So.
Yeah, no, like I was saying, like we haven't had really anyone leave like against their will or just because like we're not doing enough for them.
Right.
It's mainly because they have stuff going on in their personal life, and we're never against that. Like gaming is not a priority to the point where you need to put your entire like personal life on pause to focus on gaming. It's
Oh,
it's quite
100%, dude.
it's the other way around entirely. So we don't get mad about that stuff, and that's why we're really small. And I'm very cautious about who I pick up and what I want to do with the org. So we were big into COD towards the end of the year of this year. We did really well at Fort Worth, not so great at Anaheim, but that's when I knew, like, okay, this isn't working. I know COD's going into franchising. Like, this is the end, I think, for COD. So we kind of put our priorities elsewhere, and we just want to build the brand a little bit more
Right.
and look into what other avenues we can go. And so we're still kind of in the planning process of that, but no, nothing's concrete yet, and nothing's really moving forward just yet as far as esports go.
But you guys have a really and me being a part of it too. You guys have like a really set team, like stream team too. Like they just want to just grind to have fun. Like I always remember was it his name is Jeff, call him Squirrel. He goes
Yep,
by. Jeff's really cool, nice guy. I always try to drop on his stream as much as you can.
absolutely.
And super cool guy, and just everyone just wanted to just have fun and stream, for the most part. And I saw you guys pick up some other people after, but I don't remember who it was. But Tori's still the homie. She's super chill. We talked a little bit through Twitter and stuff like that, but she is super cool chick, and she's good at what she does too. So I think you guys have a really good foundation, as far as people who want to be there. I think that especially for whether it's life terms or just whether it's job, organizations, esports, whatever it is, man, I feel like people are gonna want to be a part of something. They're gonna get behind the people that are behind the name. Like you can
Right.
name fucking someone Cookie Monster, but like, and that's really random. But but if you have a great vision and like you're executing all the things, like they're like, damn, like that guy got it going on. Like that's what I want to be a part of, and that's what I want to get behind. Like people want to get behind good people at the end of the day, right?
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's what you guys have going on too. So I know that it's Preston, is Preston still designing for you guys too?
He sure is. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great guy too, man. He literally, bro, I remember I took all those like product pictures when I bought the flock tees, and like I did that just because like any way I could help market, I'll do it. And I feel like I have the equipment too, why not? Not everyone has that, and I'm like, shit, if I have it, might as well do it, whatever way, shape, or form. And he's like, this motherfucker's sexy, dude, or some shit in chat. And I was like, it's like this freaking dude. And like literally, he like a day later, he was like, bro, I'm taking that image of you and I'm putting it on a picture. Like, and I was like, all right, bro. And like he literally did it. Like I saw it like a while back.
Sounds just like him.
Yeah, he literally did it too. And I laughed my ass off. I was like, that's nice. I still got
He
all my.
hasn't changed.
No, he hasn't. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still got all my flock shit hanging up in my closet too. I need to get
There
some
you
of
go.
that Daddy Goose apparel though. That shit's pretty fire.
Yeah, no, it's always fun. I'm working with like I guess a couple different designers, mainly just one at this point, but we have fun with it. I'm big into apparel. Like I just want the cool, like the real love shirt. Like
Yeah,
that's
right.
just what I love. I love that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, that's awesome,
that's my
man.
vision.
I think that any like apparel that's like cool, chill, people get behind it, like that's the way to go. Like, especially for, and I'll be honest, like when Nate Shot announced 100 Thieves, I
Yeah,
to be honest, bro, at first I was like 100 Thieves I was like I don't know, man, like kind of cool, but like not.
yeah,
And then I
right.
started to think about it. I was like, it's kind of a cool name. And then you started seeing this merch fly out, and like that's where he wanted to originally base it off of. And I was like, yo, that shit's fire. And then
Yeah,
that
no,
I
they
think,
definitely have the
uh,
best apparel in the game.
oh well, dude, 100%. I think that um his vision and what he's doing is insane. Like picking up Drake, dude. Like and I think he picked up someone huge not long ago too. But like all his investors and people behind him are all big people. Especially I told Scooter Braun. Like I
Yep.
listened to his podcast, and man, like the things that Scooter has done is literally insane. Like that's a podcast. If you listen to him, dude, you got to like that guy. Like
Mm.
he's the one that made Justin Bieber. Like I think
Oh
helped
yeah.
make Ariana Grande. I'm not 100% sure on that one, but we all know Courage JD's trying to be a part of that one too now. So. That's actually
Oh,
pretty funny.
always for our anything for Ariana Grande, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Rest in peace to homie Mac Miller. That was a legend, 100%. Man.
I know.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
So jumping in, so you have your vision, you have everything going for Flock. You know where were you finding? And I think this is a pivotal moment for a lot of people who do, esports and gaming and organizations. But like, where were you finding funding and getting all the funding and trying to like shoot teams to, you said Anaheim and then there's Fort Worth and stuff. Was
Mhm.
anyone helping you? Like, did you do it all yourself out of pocket? Like, how did that go for you?
No, a lot of it is out of pocket. It's really tough when you don't have these sponsors that are funding you or giving you like a month to month contract type deal. Um, with Regal, we used to have PvP Live. That's no longer a
Yeah, they're
thing.
not a thing anymore, right?
They're not, no, but they were given like 2,000 a month and stuff like that. So that definitely helped. But
Oh yeah,
when you're funding stuff by yourself, like what I am, like you're kind of limited to what you can do, as far as like which teams you can pick up and what you can give to them. You want to
right,
give them the best that you can to make them perform at their peak, but there's only
hundred
so much
percent.
you can do. So what I ended up doing and what my strategy usually is to get like a couple owners like me and Kyle. We just picked up Daddy Ganks um, as a third owner. And so that's supposed to help out a little bit with funding as well. So everything that comes out of pocket is pretty much how we operate that org. Um,
That's crazy,
I'm-
man.
and I'm big on just keeping promises and not over promising to people that I'm going to pick
Right.
up.
That's well, for sure, man. Props to you because like doing like a lot of those things out of pocket is like super brave, man. High risk, could be low reward, high reward. We talked about that earlier, but
Yep.
it's definitely like a touchy subject for sure because like it's in one it's frustrating too like when you're putting a lot of the time, the money, the effort into things and like you don't see them going the way you want to, and it's almost like you kind of self-evaluate. It's like, is it me? Is it like, is it people that are helping me type of thing? Like, and I think that's the hard part, especially for people coming up in this scene too. But a lot of, and this is what has always bugged me, and we can talk about this for a little bit too. Is like people, I feel like nowadays people want so much for what they're not worth. Does that make sense?
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
I feel like people want so many things, but it's like, what did you do to earn it?
Right.
Where's your stars and stripes, man? And I think, and Hector talked about that in his podcast, and I know I keep relating back to that, but it's just such a true thing that like a lot of these, especially dude with Fortnite, bro, like you pick these people up and they're either like, no offense to people, but they're super immature, or like, hey, like I got this and this, but I want $500 a month, and it's like, what did you do, man? Like,
Right.
like I need to know, like, where did you compete? Did you go to any lands? Did you go to like Ninja Vegas? Like, what did you do like to earn that moment? Like, and I think especially like Ninja Vegas was a huge pivotal moment for like a lot of people in the Fortnite community too. So shout out to him too, which is pretty crazy, but he doesn't need shout outs obviously. He's kind of already up there on the market, so he's good.
Yeah, but that raises a good point though, what you just said, because if there's people out there asking for 500 a month and you're still having to ask them like what they've done,
Yeah, man.
you're already losing that battle because you have to ask who they are. You don't even know who they are and they're asking for 500 a month.
And I'll take it. And this is a subject we'll probably talk later on in the podcast. But I obviously, I kind of started my own thing a little bit after I got my head right with real life things, and it didn't work out as well. And that's another podcast where I'm gonna talk with someone. But that's a future episode. But a lot of people would just slide in DMs, man, and they'd say, "Hey," and I'm like, say something else besides "Hey," man. Like, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I feel like if someone needs to get a point across to you, they're gonna say like, "Hey, like this is what I want to offer you. Like, hey, my name is so and so and so. We have a full team of 5. We have competed at X, Y, and Z land. We've top place, top whatever. What's your thoughts? Hey, could we possibly partner with? Like, that's what I would rather see, and I know that
Oh
you
yeah.
would too. It makes your life a lot easier because you don't have to ask so many questions. But for anyone out there that's listening to this, like futuristic, like just take that extra step to explain yourself and your team, and you're
Hmm.
you're gonna get more. I would say I don't know what's the right word to use, but like credibility, probably. You know, like okay, like this guy took his time to explain himself. Like I want to listen to what he has to say, and a lot of people don't understand that, and they just think, like I literally, you know, I remember to this day, this one kid was like, he's like, I looked at his bio and he said 13. To be honest, no offense, I'm not picking with 13-year-olds. It's not gonna happen. It's just not the format I've ever wanted. But there are some
Right.
nasty 13-year-olds, obviously. You know, if it was like one of those kids, like I was a high school, I'd pick him up. You know, he's
Well,
crazy.
that raises another concern though, is when you get to ages like that, it's really hard legally to be able to
True.
pay these kinds of players.
Yeah. Oh, you're totally right too. I think that props to the people that do it. You know, that help make a name, especially for different platforms, because you have to be a certain age, right? But I think
Hmm.
that like these kids will just like slide in DMs and like, hey, can I join your team? And I'm like, for what reason? Why? Like, what do you got going on? You know, and you have to ask all these questions and like, oh, I'm good at arena. I got this many points. I'm like, that doesn't really tell me much, man. Helps you play the game a lot, but how good are you?
Right.
And I feel like and to be honest, there's a lot of underrated people in that community. I feel that don't have the recognition and probably deserve it. To be honest,
Hmm.
I feel like in general, I feel like Fortnite's a saturated market now. It's super hard to get up there, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
those
could
who
be
are
wrong.
already there, and those who are already there, and anyone trying to get to that point is kind of they have a really tough uphill battle.
Oh yeah, and I could be totally wrong. You know, if anyone watches this, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's a different battle for sure. So back on to sorry, we get on a tangent here and just go on
Mhm.
about. But I knew this was gonna happen. That's what I like. But so
Yeah.
jumping back into so where did obviously you had a set pillar of people you wanted for the flock, right? So who were your top people you wanted, and then where'd you go about picking up people for the organization too?
Yep. So I just simply wanted to keep the people that I knew and trusted from past orgs, or at least those who have been like loyal in the community and that knew what they were doing.
Right.
So Kyle, I knew right away that was going to be at least some sort of management alongside with me to help pick up people. We had Jord at the time as well. He's not with us anymore, but I knew he had been loyal throughout Regal as well, even during that
Yeah,
shitstorm.
George's a really cool guy too. That's another one that I connected with really well. He's a nice guy too.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
I definitely wanted him on board, so that's why I brought those two. I knew M Fens would be a little bit tougher to bring on board because she is already doing her own thing with Zero Chill.
Yeah, I did see that.
She's still with them, which is good. She's kind of doing both, and I prefer her running that org as well, keeping it going, keeping it afloat, and not just letting it
100%.
die. That was the first. That's my baby. That's the first thing I ever started.
Right,
Was
man.
so I like to keep it going. And that's kind of how it all came down to who I'd already worked with prior, and who I knew would be beneficial to have on my team, like going into a new org, starting from scratch.
100%. So like and tying it back to Flocks, like what were some of your biggest like I can talk about I wouldn't say a hardship. We'll jump into that in a second because I remember you blew up in the chat one day or whatever. I remember it was like you like this is not getting done. I'm pissed or whatever, and I was like, oh shit, like yeah, he's not happy right now. And that's for another in a second here. But what were your biggest accomplishments with the block? What are some things that you feel like you've earned, you've seen, you accomplished, and like what were some of your hardships that you found with that organization as well?
For the flock, it always came down to like who can provide like apparel about that, because if I'm trying to send teams to events and I can't get them apparel within like a short time frame, because you know how rosters switch up last minute on you, for apparel company that's going to be able to do that day notice or whatever, like
Right.
just within a week, like with them, if I have to pay extra, I will. And who can I trust? And finally, after like trial and error with like 4 different companies, I finally found Sector 6.
They're
Shout
great,
out to
by the
them.
way.
They have been so amazing. I have absolutely zero bad things to say about them. But I think that was a hardship that I finally overcame, and they've made my life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, so not to bring any sort of negativity at all, but Gamers Apparel, man, took way too long for my stuff. I know it was a UK based thing, but
Yeah.
And that's tougher. It's a tougher scene, right? But Sector 6,
Absolutely.
dude, shout out to them for sure, man. I remember I ordered my flock tee, bro, and I got that within like 4 days, bro. It was like super
Yeah,
fast. I was like, that's a great company to be a part of, 100%. They produce some big name organizations on there too, man.
exactly. And that came after Fort Worth. I never reached out to them or anything. Like they just noticed how we did at Fort Worth and reached out and said, "Hey, like, are you guys in need of blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Absolutely."
Absolutely, that's all. That's huge, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah. No, it was, and I was like more beyond thankful that they even did that because I probably would have reached out um at some point,
Yeah, yeah.
but I don't like to bring a bad thing down, and I was okay with Gamers Apparel at the time. Like I had no flaws with them, but if I can improve something, then I'm going to do it.
Oh
So,
yeah, 100%. And that's nothing against them. Like some things just don't always pan out to be exactly what it is, and that's nothing against anyone at all. But like they are UK based. We're in the US. And sometimes it's gonna be longer and harder to get things across that way, you know.
right.
So and that's nothing against anyone. It's just a factual side of things, you know. So
Mhm.
um so and then was there any, I think I remember one, right? So what were some of the bigger names that you probably had under Flock? You know, I know you had Forgiven, which he has a pretty decent, you know, name for himself in the COD community too. So what were some of the bigger names you had under your org?
Yeah, Forgiven was definitely one. Being a COD player, I think for he was a streamer for Denial for quite a bit as well.
Oh wow.
Before they had their little shitstorm.
Yeah, yeah.
um, I think we haven't really had too many big names in the org. We did have a couple that had connections. Like Trent Casper was a streamer for us who's really good friends with Silly. Um,
I've heard him before.
yep, he's
Really?
good friends with Silly and like just he has a huge name and huge I guess you could say presence in the AM community. So he was a good person to have, and that was pretty much it. We haven't had too many. The roster hasn't changed too much since I started it back in December. We're getting close to a year now, so we'll see what happens within the next few months to the next December.
Oh yeah, Flockversary.
Exactly, the Flockiversary.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, a lot of great goose feed and drinking right there, man, for sure.
Hmm.
Um yeah, but Forgiven was a big. I remember seeing that tweet blow up, and then like it was like a huge thing, and I like he had like this whole like cinematic video of him walking out and stuff. And I was like, damn, like that's production, like that's high quality shit, like that's things you want to see, like that just help
Exactly.
bring awareness to a name, an organization, but also for himself too. It makes him look super professional, you know. But now he's
Yeah.
on is it YSK? I think it's called
Yep. You should know gaming or YSK.
something
However.
like that. Yeah, yeah. But I get it confused with UYU. I know they had some big names under that team too. They're like pretty similar, I guess. But
Yep.
um, so what's the Flock's future? What do you want for it? Where do you see it? You know, maybe a year from now, like what do you want for the organization?
Yeah. So we definitely want to continue with esports, and I think that we're gonna achieve that. Right now, we're just trying to get funds together to put up a couple good teams. Not trying to branch out and have like six different teams and six different esports. We just want a foundation with a couple good ones that actually are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Um, we'd like to branch out into photography and videography.
Right.
Stuff that branches further than just gaming itself. That could bring in a lot more, I guess, viewers and more hype, I guess, behind everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Would be cool. And I actually have a huge interest in that kind of stuff. I'm just not very good at it.
I like
Um,
photography and stuff.
yeah, no, I have such an appreciation and fascination for it. So I would love to do that.
Yeah, if you need any help with
Um,
anything, let me know too, because I do it for fun as well too, and I don't mind ever helping out with anything. That I've never been like um, like a stipple to like want to help with anything. So like I do it for fun. I'm not really that great at it, but I could take decent photos. It's all about post production. So whatever you need, let me know, and I'll help you out too. So never opposed to that.
Appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
100%, man.
Um, and then I think apparel is a big thing. Like a lot of orgs just do like org apparel. I think with me doing my own personal stuff, it's kind of giving me the idea to how else could I branch out the flock and separate their apparel, kind of like Under Thieves, but like less gaming related and more just like generalized stuff that the non gamer would wear.
Right. Yeah, I think that's and I feel that a lot of people will make um they go to org and make apparel and stuff too, but like I feel like a lot of times they just make an, like you said, like an org apparel, and which is cool, but I feel like there needs to be a lifestyle brand to it, right? So when I was making my stuff, I wanted to have like a lifestyle tee, something any casual person could wear. I feel like that's just huge. I feel like if
Right.
someone can throw something on and just go like 100 Thieves, man, like it goes with a lot.
Oh yeah,
It's such a huge lifestyle. I think that's it's a pivotal thing to have in a brand and an organization too. So if you do that, then like it'll for sure take to another level too. So you gotta once you figure that out, man, you're pretty much gold from there. So gotta get the right
absolutely.
people behind it, 100%. And
Yep.
then what's so like? What about for yourself, man? Like, what's the future for yourself? I know you've been streaming a lot. You've been trying to get on that kick and that grind. Like, what's the future look like for yourself with streaming and just your personal goals?
Yeah, so I definitely want to keep doing what I'm doing with the flock and running that. Hopefully, bring a bigger name to them. Give these people that what they deserve. All these streamers that have been grinding. It's not about me. It's about everyone around me. That
Like that?
I've never been a selfish person. I want other people to grow with me.
Yep.
Um, so I definitely want to keep doing that. I would ideally would like to try and compete back once Halo, like in 2020 when Halo Infinite comes out. I would love
Yeah,
to
that's
go.
gonna be killer, man.
I'm excited for
Uh,
that. I
yeah.
want to try and see if, as long as it's not too futuristic like Halo 4 and 5, where I would
Bring it back
love
to the roots, man. Bring it back to the
exactly.
roots. Yeah,
That's all I
dude.
want.
Now they're
Honestly,
making Halo on PC too, which is pretty crazy.
yeah. Well, Halo CE originated on PC, I believe, and then Xbox kind of
Took it over.
and like not monopolized it, but they bought out the rights to keep it only on Xbox and not go to
Right.
PS. But yeah, so if I would love to do that, maybe try and build myself and get myself back into the competitive scene
Yeah, man.
personally, not as an org, but personally.
Yeah. I think
Uh,
it's super fun to be a part of, man. I think that it's so like self-driven and motivational. Like, dude, it's crazy to be a part of it. Like when you just get that win, you're playing with the team for fun, or to actually win money. And I think that knowing that you want to win for someone else and just have like be great at the game is like it takes it to a whole different level. And it's like it's something that you can't fathom unless you do it. It's a thing
exactly.
that yeah, it's just so it's an untouchable feeling, man. It's so great, because I remember I didn't really like compete for Call of Duty, but I did do like a lot of like S&D tourneys and like S&D GBs and UMGs, and like there's just like no other great feeling than like beating the shit out of some team, like just
Yeah,
dominating, like those 5-5 clutches, like I think it's just such a great time, man. It's so much fun. um
it is. Yeah. I mean,
100%, man.
I play drunk on stream a lot, and like it's still easy during that. So like when you compete, like you just want to compete and have a little bit more of a competition, but at the same time, you're actually competing for something and not
Right.
just that self pride.
What's your thoughts on Call of Duty franchising?
I think it's a bold move for them. It could possibly revive COD, but at the same time, I think they're shooting themselves in the foot. They're taking out the AM scene, um, at least at the events themselves.
Yeah, because you're right. Because I did see, I think, a tweet about something they were making a league online or something, and you can kind of like earn your stars and stripes in a sense or something, right?
Yeah, but the thing about that is, and I love the idea. Online stuff is just way different than LAN, and everyone's
100%
seen that. So there's only so
online.
much that can prove.
Yeah, online warrior, man. We know those. Whoever has host has a better ping, man. That's just the way it goes. So it's a truly different
Mhm.
gameplay compared to being on land too. Because I played well, like, I live by New Orleans, so like over here there's like a there was this little league that they held that was called Independent Gaming League, and they had
Yep.
like I was played in BO3. They had like a little land there, and like that like shout out to them, it was a great time meeting people, but like they had so that's when Call of Duty was based off of PS, right? And they had a PS4 tournament day, then they had an Xbox one the next day, and the
Hmm.
Xbox one just went to shit. Like they refunded everyone's money for it because like they just couldn't get things going, but the PS4 one went fine. But like we were like dominant. It was a fun time, man. But like playing on LAN was way different than like scrimming with the people I was playing with like online. It was a total different like feeling, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I feel like COD franchising is, like you said, it's a bold move. I do feel like, and I remember someone talking about it, but there was legitimately 16 pro teams, right? But now there's only 12, so they lost 4 teams essentially. And
Hmm.
now everyone has to secure their city, right? So I know, obviously, Nade Shot got Los Angeles Thieves, that's theirs. Which someone tried telling me that. Hector got LA, but I don't think Hector would get LA because Nadeshot's there, and he's based out of Fort Worth, which is like, or Frisco, which is by Dallas. So
Right.
like, I imagine he'd get a Dallas team maybe or a Houston because he has the Houston Outlaws for Overwatch. So I feel like
Yeah.
that would be a thing. I don't know, but
Yeah, what I've seen, they've only filled a few slots out of however many they were looking to get. Um, and that's still good big money if it's 15 million per slot, but I don't
it's
know. Getting rid of the AM scene, I think, is just going to be a big mistake for the entire COD game as a whole.
yeah, it's gonna put a big crunch on like if you look at those smaller but upcoming like LAN events like AGN events, Midwest esports, whatever, esports Midwest. Like if you've
Yep.
heard of those, like it'll put more of a like a thing to them, like hey, like we need to do this and like we need to make it happen now. Like we don't have like a big scene for it anymore. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think it might even be beneficial for those that maybe the like MLG or like the CDL pages might even be so
Yep.
generous to like kind of promote those a little bit and be like, hey, if you're looking to join us or get to this point, like go to these events. And so hopefully it could be good for the smaller tournament hosts.
Probably so. I would feel like it would be too. For those reasons too. But I don't know if there'd be like any legal issues regarding those things. But I don't know
Oh,
how that's gonna play out. Well, we'll have to I guess kind of see when that time comes. But I do feel like I mean the new Call of Duty looks pretty sweet. I played the alpha on PS. It's pretty cool. Um, they need to fix a couple things obviously, but that's just alpha. So it is what it is. But it's
mhm,
definitely gonna be a different game. 100% for everyone.
absolutely.
I feel at least. But so kind of to close it off, and on one of my last questions was like, if you could ever be of any big team, what would it be, and why would you want to be a part of it?
I haven't given too much thought about this because I always want to do things my own way and take matters into my own hands.
For
I'm
sure.
not, um, but that's not to say that everyone grinding isn't taking their matters into their own hands.
Right.
Um, and I've been asking this question a lot, just like when I started streaming like seriously again. It's like, what orgs would you guys like to see me in? And like, I got responses with like Ghost Goose and stuff. Like, so Ghost would be a fun.
Yeah.
Um, Ghost would be cool. I have a lot of like black and white clothing. Just I'm a simple dude, so
Yeah.
that would be cool. Um, I haven't really had any interest in phase like ever, honestly. Um, 100 Thieves has dope apparel. It always comes down to apparel for me. So 100
Yeah. I
Thieves,
feel now it
100 Thieves,
is. Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah,
So I guess
now
you could
100.
say those two.
Those are really nice. It's crazy, man, because I actually met a kid who came into my store, and I was just talking to him one day, and like he actually played Rocket League for Ghost Gaming professionally. And
Yep.
they flew him out to like the Ghost Gaming house and stuff, and he was like, it was like right down the block from the FaZe house and stuff, and he was telling me about it, and I was like, man, like that's like a dream right there, man. Like just to be able to go and do that, and like he don't play anymore, but he's like trying to get back into the scene. But he was just kind of explaining that in Rocket League, for the most, from his perspective, once you're on a team, like those teams are pretty set in stone, and there's never really any free agents ever. Like it's pretty
Right.
hard to get people for those things too. So um
Yeah.
it's a I never got into Rocket League personally. It's just a different scene. Cool to watch, I guess. Never got into it. I used to play actually League of Legends whenever a game first came out.
Yeah. League's fun.
Oh, dude, great game. I don't play anymore because it's like too much crap going on, and I'm not good at it. But
Yeah.
I do spectate it sometimes, and it's literally the most like turning point of esports ever. Because well, now it's on ESPN, which is insane. But like just watching like how one literal play can mess up the entire game is like nuts to me. Like I was watching him play, and I was like, feel like that's nuts, man. Like the way it is.
Hmm.
But Rainbow Six Siege is another great game too. I like that game as well.
Yeah, I haven't given too much thought to that game, but I do like my league, and I played Rocket League just for fun. There's never a bad time with those games.
Oh, really? I never
Yeah.
never thought it, man. I'm kind of off
Yeah.
the. I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty lately. A little bit of
Mhm.
Fortnite when I'm forced to play that. I played
Yeah.
Battalion for a little bit. That's a great game too. It's super super competitive though.
Yeah, I never played that one either.
Yeah, that was just a super competitive game. But to be honest, that's pretty much all I got. Question wise, man. So to kind of wrap it up here, dude. Thank you, honestly, for the time, for all the answers. Super great podcast. I love doing it. It's so much fun. Minus the little technical difficulties, but we'll kind of edit some of those out. But that's okay. But no, truly, man, you're a great guy. Love having you on the podcast, man. you know, we never got to really connect that much before because a lot of things going on. But like, this is a great way to do it and like open up the scene in the air for everyone too, to kind of get a different perspective on just you as a person, but you know, the things that's going on here too. So I do appreciate you. So, you know, thank you guys for everyone who tuned in. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of the content, and drop a like on the video. I will futuristically try to get a lot of these podcasts more on Spotify, you know, iTunes and all that jazz when I figure out how to get them on there. I kind of have a general sense on how to get it on Spotify. Just got to get some audio things set up and some correctional things done. But YouTube will be the main platform for this for now until we get further into those things. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you, and we'll see you later.